So I originally had a completely different topic that I wanted to discuss for today's video. I had a completely different video I wanted to make for you guys. But I can't in good conscience talk to you guys about my skincare routine or a day in the life or vlog me at the beach or any of those things. I can't in good conscience speak about a book review of a book that I've been reading. I can't talk about anything but what is going on in my neighboring country, in Palestine, in Ghaza, because as I film this, as we speak right now, thousands are losing their lives. Thousands are losing their lives, and I cannot pretend to turn a blind eye. And so today's video is me, a human being, speaking to you, a human being. Fun fact about me is that I actually majored in journalism and minored in political science in university for the first 2 years of university, and very quickly came to realize that politics is a very dirty game and that all journalists do is follow an agenda. And what I want to do is shed light on humanity, speak truth about what it means to be human. So I decided to shift and study literature and creative writing, because that is where true stories are told. So I am not speaking to you today as though I'm, someone with a political background, or this is not a political video in any way, shape, or form. This is a human video shedding light on a human situation that you should really care about, because you're a human too. You're a human too, and you should care. And I care so much. So yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and make the optimistic assumption that you have not been living under a rock, and that you are in fact aware of the fact that there is a genocide currently going on in Gaza, Palestine. The story did not start on the 7th of October. Contrary to what the Western media is trying to spread, the story did not start on October 7th. In fact, the story started in 1948. I'm not going to sit here and give you a history lesson. I'm just going to say the story started 75 years ago, when the Palestinian people have been living or dying as worthless human beings, as the Zionists have been completely taking over their land, barging into their homes, killing them very unnecessarily on the streets, murdering children. And there are actual polls, there are actual numbers out there on the internet, which I highly recommend that you educate yourself on, that show ever since the Palestine-Israel conflict has started, how many people have lost their lives on either side. So let's just start this video by saying that this did not start on October 7th. But, for argument's sake, let's just say October 7th was completely unforeseen. Let's just say that the Palestinians, not Hamas, decided to bomb and attack Israel for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Let's just start there. That was horrible. Innocent people did lose their lives. We stopped. We realized that that was completely unacceptable, and that innocent people did lose their lives as they were attending a concert. Unforgivable, absolutely insane. It was not for no reason, but just for argument's sake. In what world is it okay? It is against international law to respond to violence with violence. How is annihilating an entire nation, an entire people, justified by the fact that Hamas started it? How, in what world is this going on? But let me just say, again, I don't want to get into the political details, because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to speak to you as a person to person, from human to human. How can you sleep at night? How can anyone sleep at night knowing that hundreds and thousands of women and children and men and older people, if they make it that far in their lives, are genuinely being murdered in their own homes, in hospitals, as they're walking down the streets? How can you sleep at night knowing that people are being bombed and shattered into pieces just in the world that you're living in? And how are people posting on social media things that, you know, their breakfast or I don't know what else? How are we not as a world now stopping everything that we're doing to have this conversation? We need to have this conversation. I'm making this video in English. Most of all my videos are in English, but this one specifically, I want to address the people in the West, the people who are seeing this and maybe have been fed incorrect information by Western media. I urge you to do your homework, research, stop holding on to the 7th of October, stop seeing it as a singular incident, stop taking it out of context, do your homework, do your research, because that is something that the Western media is not going to give you. You will not be informed truthfully as to the extent of this war that's going on right now. And it's not a war. See, a war would require both parties to have an army and to be fighting, and it typically does not happen on civilians. It typically happens between two armies, not between an army and a hospital, not between an army and children and women. This is not a war. This is a genocide. We need to address it as such. We need to stop what we're doing and actually have this conversation. Ever since this whole thing started, I have not been sleeping. Unless I take a sleeping pill at night, I physically cannot sleep. And when I do sleep with a sleeping pill, I wake up 100,000 million trillion times a night because of all the nightmares that I have. I'm unable to go on with my life. I'm unable to proceed, even though technically I'm not affected. I'm not a Palestinian. I don't live in Palestine. But we are humans. You are a human. I'm a human. We are people. We should care. These past couple of days, though, I've realized that I'm unable to go on with my life. I want to speak about this with every last bit of energy that I have, and I completely lost all my energy. I'm unable to fathom this, and I just wanted to bring it to perspective in a slightly different way. I think it's just really ironic that as I'm filming this, there are children playing football over there, right over there, screaming and laughing, and all I want to do is weep right now. All I want to do is weep. Because the Palestinian children can't. Because they're dead. They can't. They can't play around with their friends after school. What school? What friends? I want to bring this to perspective in a different way. I was just having this conversation with someone the other day, and that's the reason why I can't have this conversation from a political lens. I have to have it from a human lens, because we are alive on this planet for a moment. We are alive for a moment in time. Even if you live up to the age of 120, you are alive for a moment, and then life goes on and you're forgotten and everything moves on. And there's one side of people and philosophers back in the 50s and everything who would say, like, then it's all for nothing. Since we all live and die, our lives are meaningless, they're for nothing. But I believe that it's for something. Our lives are for something. Every person's life leaves a legacy. What legacy do you want to leave? Do you want to leave a legacy of having lived through a genocide and said nothing? Do you want to be remembered as the person who sat silently on the side and watched as thousands and thousands were killed and annihilated and murdered and brutally, tortured and lost their loved ones, and you just sat there and said nothing and did nothing and went on with the rest of your life as though nothing is happening? Or do you want to be remembered as somebody who did the best that they could with what they have? If you have a voice, you can speak. If you are an artist, you can take photos that tell a story. If you're a writer, you should write your story. If you make videos, make videos. If you are just a person who happens to be within a group of people or within a family or whatever where you can have a conversation, then have a conversation. We are alive for a moment. The people in Gaza have lost their moment. They died. Their lives ended. And surprise, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your life will end too. Every one of those politicians' lives who they will not be named in this video, they will lose their lives too. Everyone, we're all dying. Because from dust and to dust we shall return. The question is, what is worth your time? What is worth your voice? Now that you know, now that I've brought this into perspective and reminded you that you're not living forever. Israelis aren't living forever. Palestinians aren't living forever. Egyptians, Americans, every person. No one is living forever. As this goes on, since the people over there in Gaza, and since the West has forgotten the futility of the human experience, the fragility, the precarity of what it means to be human, all of us can be here today and gone tomorrow. Now that they have forgotten that, but now that you have been reminded, how are you choosing to respond? It's so easy to say, I'm not going to say anything and I'm not going to do anything because I'm just one person and my voice doesn't matter. Me having a conversation is just going to cost me my peace. Well, screw your peace. With all due respect, screw my peace, screw your peace, because people are dying. People, actually an entire nation is being deleted off of the face of the earth. So here's what I did, because truly we cannot pour from an empty cup, and ever since this whole thing started, my energy has been completely depleted. I have been unable to function. So I promised myself that I would take care of myself. I'm filming this as I'm on a walk. I have been taking walks. I've been trying my hardest to return to a practice. I've been trying to do the things that I can to replenish my soul. That is my responsibility. But it's not from a selfish place. It's not because I want to replenish my soul or replenish my energy so that I can just move on with life like nothing's happening. It's so that I can get the energy, muster the energy and the strength to keep having this conversation with every single person with whom it comes up. And to bring it up to people who didn't bring it up, such as you guys. If you've made it this far in the video, I am begging you, as a human being, to realize for a moment, just close your eyes for a moment, and understand what it means that it could have been you. It could have been you. It could have been me. It very well could have been you or me. You didn't choose to be born in this privileged circumstance in which you live right now. But you were. And the people over there didn't choose to be born Palestinians in a decade-long war. They didn't choose that. And they certainly did not choose to now exist in a genocide, not knowing if they're going to wake up, not knowing if they're going to make it, I would say to bed, but I'm pretty sure they don't have beds. They didn't choose that. Please take a moment to understand it could have been you, the exact same way it could have been me. And as human beings, we need to check our facts. We need to check the propaganda and the media that we are following. And then we need to speak for justice. We need to speak for those who have lost their voices. Those who are now in a situation where they have no internet, no electricity, no water, no food, nothing, and are being bombed. We need to be their voices. Speak truth. Speak truth to power. Because power has lost sight of truth. I am begging you, as a human being, to do your part. To leave the legacy that you would be proud to be remembered by. Because we're all dying. We're no different to the Palestinians. No different to those who are being completely shattered to pieces right now as we speak. Do your part and have the conversations. Please. Thank you.